How's it, everybody? Welcome back to City Skylines 2 Big Town. This is the third episode in this little mini series that we've been running, and today we are going to undergo a massive expansion of the city. This is the last video that we can put out before the actual game gets released, and so what I want to do is that I want to expand this town out a whole lot more. We want to get a couple of skyscrapers in, we want to get a little bit of residential sprawl in, and we want to try and make the whole city look a little bit more complete. So up until this point, we went only as far as the big town milestone, if I remember right. So we've been limited in what we've been able to do. Now, as we progress, we're going to unlock a whole lot more. We're going to unlock the really high density buildings, the tall buildings, but I'm not going to go super skyscraper everywhere, but we are going to have a couple that we're going to put down. And the whole point is that we're going to build out this entire downtown area. We'll put low density residential around the whole area. It's going to be a long video. I can't wait to get into it. And as we do, I'm going to change the format a little bit. We're going to have super fast time lapse. We're going to have slow time lapse. We're going to have times of silence, times of talking, and we're just going to have everything happen in this video. So we're going to kick things off with introducing the rail network. We're going to bulldoze a lot of this that you're seeing, and then we're going to lay out the foundations for this town. So we're kicking things off by taking apart this park that we built in the last video. We're going to relocate that clinic closer to the main road, and then we're going to run the railway line through here. Now I realized that I couldn't put down the railway station until I had the rail depot down, or the rail yard down, and once I put that there, I was able to put down the train station. At this point, we could relocate the soccer field and then at the parking lot as well, clear out the space so that we can run the train line through here. This is probably as nice as it gets, because once we move into the residential areas to the left, we are going to do a whole lot more demolishing. But by relocating the fields here, it freed up the space, so we're able to zone in a couple of commercial spaces, a couple of residential areas, and then took the time to kind of make it look a little bit pretty by putting a couple of pots in between. Now, the city itself isn't so big that we're gonna have some huge train network, but I just wanted to get it in so that I can have a feel for what it's like. I wanted to play around with a lot of these transportation items. At this point, we buy a whole bunch of tiles because there were so many tiles that we had. So I bought a whole lot of it and then prepped myself to start the expansion of this entire area. So we smoothed out the land a bit, and then with this rail yard, it basically acted as the limit of the downtown. So we're gonna push the downtown all the way up to this rail yard, and then on the other side we are still going to do a bit of work, but for now it's just setting up the rail yard, connecting it up to the rail line that comes from the outside world, and then that puts us in a position to then be able to at least plan the rest of the city around it. And then with that down, we're going to start laying down a lot of the road networks and sort of plan out this entire downtown area. And whilst we do that, I'm also thinking about where I want the skyscrapers to go, where I want the tall buildings to go. And I didn't want those tall buildings coming right up against the rail yard. So the downtown will be concentrated more towards the left half that you see, and then we'll rapidly taper it down. I think I talk about this at some point in the future, but I think that's a future me and a present me getting myself mixed up. But this is going to be a whole lot of road building. So I'm going to just keep quiet for a bit and let the road networks take shape. All right, so as you can see, we've laid out all these roads here. We're gonna have higher density sort of in this space and then very quickly taper it down, and then we will expand residential area into this space and all the way up into the mountains. Now, before I zone all of this area, one of the things that I want to do is that I need to extend this railway line, and I wanted to cut all the way across and cross this river and head out into that space. Assuming we have enough time, I want to unlock the airport and put an airport here. We're going to relocate this, what's this, the rock musicians mansion down to this area and make this their own little private island. What I noticed whilst I was browsing around is that my garbage facility is completely full. So it's currently storing 841 of 830 tons. So what I need to do is to quickly unlock, where are we? We're here to unlock the incineration plant, right? This is the one that will burn the living daylights out of all of our trash. So let's grab that, and I was going to put it down here, but I have a plan to actually completely change this whole area. So because of that, I want to move a lot of this industry to this side, because I think it will make more sense. It's sitting right next to the airport. I think this will become sort of the industrial area, and then we will do something funky here and make this whole area sort of farmland. But since we can relocate buildings in this game, let's go ahead and put down the incineration plant, which is humongous. Okay, I did not expect that size at all. Wow, that is huge. Okay, let's bring it down to this corner here. Let's plop it down there. And with that, we have reached the next milestone. We are now at Great Town, and we've got a lot of money, 2.2 million, 9 more progression points, and 12 tiles that we can unlock. If we look at our progression tree, we finally unlocked the high density businesses. Where is this? I'm guessing this is in commercial spaces. Yeah, so now we can start building nice big commercial spaces, which is awesome. And that's about all we unlock. And we increase our loan limit. So that is cool. Hopefully this chappie should start taking on a little bit of rubbish from this chappie. Where is this thing? Start emptying, and hopefully it'll pump some stuff into this. This chappie will burn the living daylights out of it, but we'll probably relocate a lot of this stuff to this area. Man, this building is huge, people. It is huge. Anyways, I've got a lot of demand for a lot of things, so let's probably zone before we demolish. Or should I demolish before I zone? I don't know. Let's see what I feel like doing, and we'll get into doing that. In the end, I decided to relocate the rock musicians mansion first. So we're gonna move it onto this island. I think at some point I do add a home or two to this place just so it didn't look so bad. But the idea is that I just really ran a road to the island, took the Rockstar Musician's house, plopped it there, and then laid a couple of footpaths all around just to make it look like there is at least, I don't know, some kind of a parky type thing going on over there. Then once that was done, it was time to take apart the space. So we ran the rail line just straight through the suburb, demolished a couple of roads, we will remove a whole bunch of houses, and then we plopped down a couple of trees to try and, I guess, make that place look a little bit better. And also the trees can work as a sound barrier for all of these homes that have this railway line that is suddenly running through it. In reality, I would probably have made this a very, not so affluent area, but it is what it is. We're working with what we've got. So with that extended out, we'll connect up the rail line to the main rail line at some point in the future. But for now, all the layouts that we did we're gonna jump back to it. We're gonna try and zone out a lot of these areas. Because of the high demand that I have at the moment, I wanted to build up my residential space and start making a ton of money. We'll talk about that at the end. Like, I end up making so much money. Like, making money in this game is fairly easy if you just zone the right thing. But I was just trying to meet the demand that we have. We had a ton of low density demand, a ton of sort of medium density, and then office and industrial space. So we're gonna just zone the living daylights out of a lot of these places, and then put down a couple of decorative areas, just a couple of bushes and flowers around some of these footpaths. And it's times like this that I make use of a faster speed. So I think I sped this up 10 times as opposed to 5 times like I usually do, just so that we get through the monotony of laying down some of these things a bit quicker. So this is where we are at the moment. I've started zoning this area, but there isn't a lot of demand for the high density stuff, so it's not actually growing. What there is a ton of demand for right now is industry, and I know if I get more industry in, that is going to drive a bit more demand for all of the residential areas. So what I want to do is that I want to take this time to quickly reorganize basically this entire space, so that I can annihilate this area, redo my industrial zone, and convert this place into a proper farmland. For that, what I want to do is that I want to get rid of this rail line here. It's going to follow this path all the way down, and then it's going to go around the airport, or at least where I plan to put an airport, and then come back down and connect up to it over here. We're going to redo this highway as well, so that it sort of runs on the outside of the town. So I don't actually want the highway coming through the city, but this also then presents me the opportunity to build a bit with the highways as well. So what we'll do is we're going to grab, I think, these 2 tiles, and let's say these 6. If we grab those, maybe these 2 as well, just so that we can, including that, the last 3, so that we can change the highway, let it go all the way around there and then connect. And then the railway, let's grab that as well. So the railway, we can then cut it across as well to meet the highway. We'll split it up, let it go through the industrial area, so we can put a cargo port down there. And then we have everything set up, and then we can continue with the city and how we want to do it. All right, let's get building. Kicking it off, we will delete all of this highway. Did I say delete? We will demolish the highway that is currently running through here, and we will relocate it, like I mentioned earlier, along the outskirts of the actual town. We're also going to get rid of this rail yard. Well, not rail yard. Jeez, man. My English is escaping me today. Maybe I must slow down my speaking. Anyways, so we're laying down the foundations for the highway. It's going all the way across. I'm making use of this parallel road 2, which is now built into the game, which I never used in City Skylines 1, but as I use it now, I'm thinking to myself, oh my gosh, I really should have. Anyways, we're connecting up the railway as well. Once it's connected, we start seeing a couple of trains actually start moving through the actual town again. From here on, this bridge that was, I guess it was just a road connecting to that highway, we're going to extend it, and then we're going to build a simple trumpet interchange just to connect up to this highway over here. With the highway connected, we're gonna put down the, what is this? Is this the cargo depot? I believe that's what it is. It's got a single train line connection. We're gonna hook that up to the train line that we've just relocated, and then we're going to just build a whole bunch of roads around here and relocate a lot of the industry that I was talking about earlier from the other side of the river down to this side. I love these roundabouts. I've been making use of them quite nicely. You literally just plonk them onto the road and Bob's your uncle, you have a roundabout, which is awesome. But anyways, we're relocating a lot of the industry. Once we're done with all of this industry relocation, we'll go across the river again and go and remove all of the old industry that we have placed there. We will redo a bit of the landscape and then convert that entire area into just farmlands. As part of the redoing of this area, I decided to terraform all of the space, get this place to flood out a little bit, and then redo the road networks all around this area. One of the biggest pain points of doing this is that you can't actually delete trees with a brush tool. You have to go and click and select each individual tree before you can delete it. That made clearing out all of these trees a big pain, and it's not a pain I wish on anybody. I really hope that we get the brush back and be able to delete trees with that. And we have hit the small city. Now, man, this was actually really hard to hit. There was just so much industrial and office demand, and it's still there. And I'm guessing as the city expands into the large scale ones, I'm going to need to plop down more and more of that. But small city, 2.5 million, 10 progression points, and 15 more zones that we can unlock. Whatever we've got now, we've now got the high density offices, which is awesome, something that I want to build. We've got high speed highways, removes highway speed limits. Oh wow. Traffic flows faster but noise increases. Interesting. Combustion engine ban. I'm guessing these are zoning stuff. But anyway, it's stuff that we'll have to worry about. We are in the dead of winter and we are expanding. So let's keep going. Let's get ourselves to that large city. Oh, this is what the city looks like right now. I'm not entirely happy with these, but because I don't have the demand for it, I don't want to get rid of them. But I think I'm going to leave maybe 1 or 2 here that are tall, and then we'll bring the rest of these to slightly lower sizes. And I think the way I do that is by zoning slightly smaller blocks for them. So we will clean these high skyscraper things off and bring them slightly lower, just so that it fits in better with the overall landscape. But so far, that's where we are at. We've got a lot of office space starting to pop up. I think what I'll do is that I need to move a couple of these office spaces into the downtown area here as well. Oh well, maybe just on the outskirts of the downtown so that I distribute offices a bit better. So that's the plan. Let's keep going. I decided to unlock a couple of these developments, 3 points, because I realized that I wanted some of these nice buildings that are hidden in these journeys. So I wanted to unlock a couple of, I can't remember if it was the university. No, I unlocked the post sorting facility and a bunch of other stuff, and including the university. Yes. So once I plopped that down, it allowed us to hit the next milestone of Big City. Now at this point, I had actually gone into live gameplay to give some commentary, but for whatever reason, my commentary was not recorded. I think my shadow play basically bugged out, but I will give it a post commentary. As you can see, we got 2.8 million money. We got 11 progression points and a couple more tiles that we can unlock. Now we've got a ton of tiles that we can unlock at the moment, sitting at 33, and we're going to unlock a whole bunch of these later down the line when we expand the city out a bit. So that's the university. I don't think it looks too bad. I think it's a very nice asset. The entire downtown is starting to take shape quite nicely, as a lot of the demand has led to the medium density growing, the tall skyscrapers growing there in the center, and everything has tapered down nicely towards the rail yard. At some point, we're going to expand things out over onto the other side, just as a way of having a backdrop for the city. So that's roughly what I think I said when I went into live play and it didn't get recorded. So now we'll go back to our time-lapse build, where we'll continue to expand out this downtown area and zone all of the residential, commercial, and all of those spaces around the university. I didn't plan to actually expand the university. That's why I'm zoning so close to it. I think if this was going to be a longer running series, I definitely will do that, or would have done that, because there are a lot of assets that could be unlocked down the education tree, like the medical facility and a whole bunch of other ones, which are extremely big buildings and they look really, really, really pretty. But we didn't unlock them for this. I didn't think I was gonna have the time and what's this thing, the planning mental capacity to have done it. So we're just gonna zone around the university and allow this town to continue growing. So as all those zoned areas start to grow out, we jump to the other side of the river now, where we put the second train station. So this is going to serve as a sort of small extension to the city, and that's what's going to allow us to connect the two train stations and at least have some kind of trains running. What we're doing here now is expanding out on the road networks on the other side of the river, and then we're also going to zone out all of this area. It's going to be mostly commercial and residential spaces. This area is meant to be the urban sprawl around the city. So we're going to have a lot of low density houses. There will be a mix of medium density here and there, but it's primarily houses, standalone houses, that kind of stuff. So we'll zone all of this out. We'll connect this area also to the highway over to the top right, and then there we go. So we're gonna buy a whole bunch of tiles that will allow us to expand the city out a bit and also give us space to be able to connect the road that crosses the highway, not the highway, that crosses the river over onto the highway. This then allows us 2 points where people can come in and out of the city, alleviating the traffic and the pressure on the Trumpet interchange that we built earlier. What we will build here will also be a bit of a Trumpet interchange, but because I do not like building the same type of interchanges all the time, we put a small bit of a variety on it. 3 hours later, and we are finally done with this whole space. So the place has been zoned. We just waiting for all the trees around these sort of, I don't know, empty areas to grow, so that the whole place just looks a whole lot more bushy and more lush. So I'm hoping that as we move on to build the airport, all of this will grow out, and by the time we get to the end cinematics, all of this will look a whole lot nicer. Look at the waves on here. This is so interesting. Anyways, we are very, very close now to our next milestone, 119,700. Wait, hang on. What am I looking at? That's what we are at. Where we're going to is 155,000. So we are almost there. I'm sure as soon as we plop down the airport, we will probably hit that milestone. So whether or not we're going to be able to get around to doing this spot, I am not entirely sure, but we will plop this down. Let's hopefully hit the next milestone, see what gets unlocked, and whilst we're still in that milestone, we can still build, as long as we do not go past large city into huge city. So let's see if we can get that airport down, and then see if there's enough time for us to just sort of close out this town in that area. All right, let's get into the airport. So it wasn't too long after I started building this. I think I plopped down a couple of parking lots, and boom, we unlocked large city. And once again, my audio didn't get recorded, and I just did not have the patience to try and do or repeat what I said during the actual gameplay, because I do not remember what I said. So I decided I will bypass that milestone and just continue with the build. Now, before I built this, I had this elaborate plan in my head that I was going to build this complicated interchange. Everything was going to be flowy, but it just wasn't working out the way I had planned, because I didn't have a lot of room to play with in this area. I noticed, because of the fact that I had relocated all the industry here, I had brought the railway line cutting through here, I had the highway and the railway kind of meeting each other. It narrowed the space that I had. All of those things basically led to me not being able to build out things the way I wanted to. So I decided to keep it simple. I placed down a couple of roads. I realized that everything was just set at an angle. It looked really weird and funky. So I decided to delete all of it and just redo it again. Fortunately, I knew that the road layout that I put would actually work, in the sense that the airport would fit in there nicely. Everything would basically balance out. So I redid the exact same thing. I got my little roundabout over there. I got a road which the airport is connected to. I put my parking spots in there, and once I got all of that in, everything was hunky-dory. I also extended the airport. I included the cargo terminal, I included a hotel, and a whole bunch of other areas or other things that you could expand the airport with. And then terraform this entire space, because there was a huge dip going towards the river. That's why the highway was floating this whole time. It was an elevated highway. It's something that I had planned to always sort out, and this gave me the opportunity to do that. So I raised all of the land to be sort of on the same level as the highway, but then I left the highway as an elevated one because I thought it looked quite cool the way it was. It was almost like it had sound barriers to it. And so I thought, hey, you know what, why not leave it the way it is, because there isn't an upgrade tool that would allow me to put it directly on the ground. So I was gonna have to rebuild all of this, and I did not want to go down that path. So we connect up the highway to the airport, or at least the road coming from the town to the airport. I didn't connect it to the highway going out because I just did not feel it was needed. So I just left it in such a way that people from the town can get to the airport and be able to leave the airport. And I think that was good enough. And then getting to the airport, we zone out the intermediate vicinity with some commercials, some offices, and I think that's about it. just around this area with a few buildings here and there, just to make the area look a bit more decent. With the airport area done, I moved over to the space on the other side of the rail yard, and the whole point of this is to just lay some bare bones road networks and zone out some medium density residential areas, some offices, a couple of row houses, and then surround the entire space with some low density housing. This is just to offer a bit of a backdrop so that the cinematics, when we capture them, it doesn't look completely empty and bare around here. As we get to the end of the build, I thought I would make use of this district tool to just give a couple of areas some names. And the names don't matter. I just wanted to test out what the district tool looks like. I think it is a huge upgrade from the previous one. It's nice to be able to put the points exactly where you want them to be, so you define the exact boundaries of a district. I think this tool is far superior to the previous brush style that it was. So it was nice playing around with this. I quite liked it a lot. As I completed all the districts, I decided to look at the happiness of my people. And one of the things that they were complaining about was internet access, or the lack of it. So I took a whole lot of this radio masts and then started placing them all over the town. I noticed that in some areas you get a nice green, which I assume is good coverage. Other areas were not so green. What I was trying to do at this point was to find the optimal locations that I could place these things so that I could get the entire city, especially the downtown area, to be green. But try as I may, I could not get the downtown to be green. But in the end, I think I managed to get the entire city covered, because the happiness of my people, especially when it came to the internet access and the communication stuff, went into the green, which means that everybody was happy, everybody was getting the comms that they wanted. And then lastly, I upgraded a whole lot of these roads into the tram networks, and then off camera I set a whole bunch of new tram routes just to make sure that I got the trams covering not just the main town, but they extended out into the area across the river as well. All right, everybody, this is it. We are finally done. This is an overview of Big Town, our first City Skylines II project. Got our downtown, the area that we probably focused on the most, and then I tried to get some small low density suburban sprawl around it. It's not the best, but it does the job. Its main purpose really was to have some kind of background to all the hopefully beautiful cinematics that we are going to capture. We got the airports down, but it's not the international airport, so it doesn't actually have airplanes landing. I think the only way you can get that is to get the international airport, and I did not plan for the international airport as it is incredibly big, and I did not plan for this at all, and I do not think I have enough time to be able to do that. I think if I plop this down, I will go into the next milestone, and so we will have to leave that for another time. Otherwise, everybody, this is the entire city. I did play around with some of the other farm types. I think this is ore and stone. There, at least it gives you a different color, but you know, we've got this huge thing here that is busy digging. I'm hoping that if I zone it in a smaller area, these will not pop up, but that's for another time to figure out. Around the airport, we moved all the industry this side. I put down the post sorting facility here as well as another incineration plant just to give this place a little bit more life. I would have loved to develop this entire area in a slightly more industrial looking space with some more offices, but I think if we continue down that path, we will definitely get out of the large city milestone. Around here, it's our downtown. I think this area came together fairly nicely. I love the mix of mid and high density buildings. I think they work quite well together. And then on this side of the rail yard, I really just put all of this down to fill up the space just to have a better background, but I think overall that view is not too bad. I would have loved a bit more time with it, with like the roads which can turn into keys, use that to make this place look a little bit better. But with all the trees here, once these trees get bushier and bigger, they should hopefully cover up a lot of this stuff, right? And then on the other side, we got a small little settlement going here. We got a little mini downtown. It's not really a downtown, but slightly higher density area with houses all around. And the whole reason why I wanted to do this was just to have at least 2 train stations so that we can have 2 trains running. And well, not 2 trains, but we can have trains running. And at least we've got that going. We've got some trains going. We've got the trams that are doing their thing. I had to put down a couple more tram depots. So I've got one down here, and I put down another one down here as well, because each tram depot has a maximum number of vehicles that they release, and once you hit that limit, you're not going to get any more trams unless you build more tram depots. So I had to do that in order to get enough trams to run on the routes that I had configured. Other than that, we expanded everything out here, and yeah, this is it. This is the whole city. In terms of the city stats, we're making quite a bit. We're making 38 million. Well, we've got 38 million in the bank. We're making 373,000, which is quite a lot per hour. I was actually making a whole lot more. I was making about 500,000, but I had to upgrade a whole bunch of city services. So I upgraded all of the fire stations, police stations, incineration plants. I mean, you name it. I upgraded everything to the maximum that I could, and that, of course, brought down the funds a little bit more. Otherwise, my people are extremely happy. The only thing they're complaining about is noise pollution. I think if I had more time, I'm pretty sure I could have sorted that out. But it's fine. Overall, people are happy. Everybody is complaining about high rent or not enough customers from the shops. And these houses are complaining about high rent. They must just suck it up and pay the rent and just get over it. But yeah, that's it. That's our electricity production. We got enough water. We've just about enough sewage treatment. Healthcare cover, pretty good. We're pretty decent. Recycling or garbage collection is one of the things that I had to upgrade quite dramatically because we're falling into the red. So that's now sorted. Education wise, elementary school, we just about hitting the limits. We're still good with the high school. college is all right, as well as university. Fire coverage sorted, police coverage sorted, and I think last but not least, communications, we are sorted. So they've got internet cover, everybody is happy, there are no issues. All right, everybody, that is it. That is Big Town. We have learned quite a bit about Cities Skylines II, and now we await the final release of the actual game. If you look at this, by the way, still 40 tiles. Oh, I actually used all of them. So I bought a whole bunch of other tiles which we can use to continue to expand the city. And if we consider the fact that we've got another, what's that, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 more milestones to go, you can just imagine how much bigger we can get. But that's it, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Thank you for joining me on this early access version of Cities Skylines 2. Big thanks to Paradox Interactive and Colossal Order for affording me the opportunity once again to be part of these early builds. I truly enjoyed it. I enjoyed playing the game. It's not a Cities Skylines 1. It's definitely a whole thing on its own, and I cannot wait for the final version and just jump right into that without any limitations. We'll end off everything today with a couple of cinematics of the town. Now, during the last couple of weeks, we have been receiving game updates which introduced new features, which fixed bugs and so on and so forth. And just in time for this final video, we received an update that contained the fixes for the night view. So for the first time, you get to see the night view of this town. You get to see what it looks like. You can do all the comparisons you like, but I am such a night view person, and I am so glad that this came out in time for me to be able to include cinematics of all of the nightlife that you get. So here we go. Get to appreciate a lot of the night views. To everybody that has asked about it, I try to put as many of them as I could in here. I let these cinematics be mainly focused around the night view, and then we will transition into a couple of daytime views as we end things off with a nice aerial view of every single thing that we've been building. Thanks once again to everybody who has followed these last 3 videos, for all the support, the comments, the likes, the shares. I really appreciate it all. And big shout out to all of my patrons. Thank you for all the supports, to all those that have been there for the longest of times. I really appreciate it. To all the new ones, thank you all so much. I cannot wait for the final version of the game to be released so that I can just start going crazy. In this video, or in this series, these last 3 videos across this mini series, we focused on learning the game, learning the mechanics, and I think we've got a lot of that down, or at least I've got a lot of that down. And so once we get our hands on the final version, the aim will be now to focus on building pretty things, making things look good, making large scale cities, small scale cities, villages, you name it. We're going to try it all, and that for me is what I'm looking forward to the most. There was so much that I had unlocked that I just didn't have time to explore fully, and so I feel like there's still a world of possibilities out there for me with Cities Skylines 2, and that is something that I cannot wait to start getting involved in, start exploring, and seeing how nice of a city we can build with all the assets unlocked. Here are the daytime views. I hope you enjoyed them, and yeah, until the next video, take care, and I will catch you all in the next one. Cheers everybody.